Walking the Edge. It's their season premiere. So it's going to be live on Friday, September the 15th. It will air later on IWTV. For now, ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, I'm very excited to welcome Mark Pollesel onto the show. How are you doing?
I'm all right, but that fucking Andrew.
See, he is complaining about C4 shows going long, and then he goes over his time to keep you waiting. So
payback, I guess.
I was going to say, it's just a receipt. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah. I mean, look, the latest show ever went was a little after midnight because Cody Rhodes decided to talk for half an hour. Come on. Okay. Generally, we aim to be done by 11 p.m., usually ending the day they start.
It's a low bar, but at least you hit it.
I have many memories of traveling to Montreal for IWS shows in the mid 2000s, and those things going past midnight and not getting home. Well, I live in Ottawa, so getting home for a couple hours afterwards. So it's payback.
So right off the bat,
you got to cut Cody off.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not welcome anymore.
What's he ever done?
Right. So just jumping right into this is special for me because Mark, you and I have talked about it. I grew up in Ottawa. I grew up in Nepean. I grew up in the West End. Professional wrestling, especially on the indie circuit, wasn't something that I really saw a lot of in Ottawa. No. And I left in 2005. You guys started up around 07.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. So I've missed what has become the rise of C4. I mean, there's so much history to dig into, but really I just want your immediate thoughts. Now you're in a place where so many people are calling you positive names, the PWG of the North and all this stuff. What does that do to a brand like C4, and how does that make you as a booker and a creator feel as a wrestling creator?
I mean, only in the last couple of years has it really struck me that there's a generation of talent who know what C4 is, because it's really weird to me, but like, yeah, I used to watch C4 all the time. And it's like, what? This is really weird to me. My goal was always to create a place that people would come and get better from coming to for workers. And so that's where I think that the PWG term, PWG with the North term came from, which was I would bring guys from different areas all to one area. I do not have the flight budget that a PWG has, but I would, from the very beginning, I would be like, I want the best from Ontario, the best from Quebec, the best from locally, the best from Northeast US, and just get them all mixing, because I wanted the people to experience working together, get better from that. And so it's crazy to stop and think the amount of time, because that's where my 20s went, and that's where my 30s went. But like, yeah, it's something I'm very proud of. It's great to have talent who want to be here and want to check C4 off their list of indies that they want to hit, and it's been really cool. I'm really proud of it.
You have the big match this Friday, and it airs on you can correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, it airs September 19th on IW TV.
Yeah.
But the big match just announced, the grudge match, Evil Uno against Alan Angels, number 1, number 5. Angels was not happy that you put the number on him.
I realize that. I wasn't happy when he had to cancel our booking last October. So
wow, look at that shot.
I'm joking. It's all good. It's awesome that he's coming up, and it's awesome that it's worked out. And it was literally something that fell in place last week. So it wasn't just some clever promoting on my behalf to leave it 4 days before the show to push that match, but it's something that came together, and I'm really excited about it.
Well, let us know how did it. I mean, Uno's very involved, but how did the whole thing come together with Angels, making this booking?
It was Angels, and I have been. He was supposed to come up last October, and I was going to do him and Stu Grayson. That fell apart because he went and got a chance to work for Impact, that son of a bitch. So and since then, my scheduling has always seems to fall on Impact weekends. That's why this is Josh Alexander's first time up here in over a year. I mean, he also was hurt, but this is why Speedball can be here. Jody Thread will be here. It's very hit and miss, my scheduling. I book an 18 months in advance for dates with my venue. So once I'm locked in, it's kind of like, oh, well, thanks guys for letting me know about these dates. So yeah, Alan Angels is someone who I've gone back and forth with. Have wanted to get him up here at some point. And then kind of last week he reached out, and it was I don't know the exact circumstances, but he was going to be in Canada, so I said let's do it, and we're doing it. And I think it's a match a lot of people wanted to see. Him and Uno, both have a long history together, and I think it's going to be awesome to be able to present that.
There's another match that's on the card that I think a lot of people are very interested in if they're not already. That's actually the match that you just kind of talked about with Josh Alexander. We had Shane Hawk's former tag team partner, McCray Martin of Hot Stepper, is going to take on the Walking Weapon. How did this one come about? Whose idea was it? And how excited to have Josh back in C4?
I mean, I'm glad to have Josh here. He's someone who I want to say his first match in C4 is probably 2009. And he's someone who I believed in very early. And I remember when I first saw Josh, me and several other people were like, this guy is where Kevin Steen was in like 2006. Like he's like 5 years behind a Kevin Steen. And I'm glad he's proven myself and others right. And I'm so happy for all the success he's had. But yeah, Josh last time he was here, I believe I feel like it's been over a year. Last time he was here was against me, Young Jay Lee, and it was awesome. And so McCray and him actually have wrestled once before. It was in 2019 on a very early incarnation of Uno's Mystery Wrestling, when it was just like it wasn't. I might have been streamed on YouTube. I don't know, but it was at the original Keep School, and they had a match. And McCray has come a long way since then. And he's someone who I'm very happy to see how he's matured both in ring and mentally. And he's someone I have high hopes for, and I really like up and down this card. There's something I see a theme for myself inadvertently was putting not even more established talent, but talents who have broken out against local / younger talent. And it's cool that some of those more established talents are people who started with C4, or not started with C4, but were with C4 at a younger point in their careers, and they themselves did the same thing with an older generation. I think McCray and Josh is going to be an awesome combination. McCray has really proven himself in the last 6 months, I'd say, especially. I would give credit to his work with Andrew, with Shane Hawk. I remember I told Andrew when I put them together, I want you to help McCray mature, and I want to see, because I believe he's got a lot of potential. I want to see it come out of him, and I think that really did happen.
You've also got Francesco Akira on the show.
Yeah,
and, he's been doing a lot with New Japan. He hasn't done as much this year. He's kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
He hasn't been in New Japan since like the summer. But how did him being on the show come about?
That came together. Him and Vaughn Vertigo are buddies, and Vertigo has been mentioning he's going to be around. And then he's on Smash the next day in Toronto or somewhere in Southern Ontario, and we started talking. And again, it was someone who really wanted to check off C4 from their list of travels, and it's worked out, and it's cool. People are really hyped to have him. I'm looking forward to having him, and it's cool to have someone on. I mean, more or less, he's kind of on a North American excursion right now, even though he's not from Japan, but he's been doing a lot of stuff in North America the last couple months, I want to say, and I'm sure in the next couple of years he will be unavailable for bookings. So I was happy to jump on it and get him on the show.
How much of your time, because this C4 isn't your only life's work, you have other projects that you work on. How much of your time is really spent on C4, I should say?
I mean, 16 years. Like it's
let's talk
but what I'm saying is it used to be the center of a lot of my attention. It still is. It's something that I feel like I have it on the back burner of my mind all the time. But because I put in the work starting 16 years ago, I'm able to compartmentalize what I'm doing in life, whether it be family, whether it be my day job, whether it be the other creative endeavors I have. but I always that's just how my brain works. It's like I've got several things on the go, and C4 is always there, and I have my spreadsheets and my documents about like what's the next month card is going to be, what's a few months from now going to look like, and it's not like I'm doing weekly TV. I'm doing one show a month, and fortunately, I feel like I put in my 10,000 hours, and I've become pretty good at it. Not to have too much of an ego, but I feel like I've done pretty good, and as a result, I have certain instincts and intuitions that I feel I can rely upon, and it doesn't have to dominate. That said, like if I had more drive, like 12, 13 years ago, I remember trying to like, we're going to run Montreal, we're going to take this on the road. And at this point, I'm like, I'd rather just be a destination. I'd rather people want to come see the shows here. And that's another thing I took from PWG. It's like they didn't try and Ring of Honor it. They were PWG. They became the place where people want to go. And also allowing me to just do a show a month makes it a destination for fans and talent, but also lets me have a life outside of C4. C4 is something I do for fun and have always said, if it's not fun, I'm not going to do it. It's awesome that it's a passion that breaks even. It's a passion that makes a lot of people happy, but it's not the only thing I have in my life.
I want to ask about Fighting Back, the cancer show, which I feel is the biggest show that you guys do each year. How you've been doing this for years now? I know
2011 was the first one.
Yeah, is the most recent one was Fighting Back 12.
Yeah,
I'm terrible with time. I know Evil Uno was heavily involved when it first started, but how did this really start? And then from 12 years ago to now, the growth of it and how much money you guys have raised for everything, for cancer treatment, research, and things like that.
Yeah, so in 2000, it would have been late 2010, a young talent named Frank Morin, who's best friends with Uno and Stu. He wrestled as Stinky the Homeless Guy in ISW, as Kid Supreme. He had a few other gimmicks as well. But he was like, he broke in with Uno. He was best friends with Uno and Stu. I was pretty close to him as well. And Frank got sick in late 2010. In January, he was given a year to live. So January 2011. And I remember the next day I reached out to the Canadian Cancer Society saying, I don't know what I want to do, but I'd like to do something at that time to celebrate him, with the idea he'd be still alive come the summer, so he could see a fundraiser in his honor. And I ran that by Uno and Stu and some other close friends of his, and they're like, let's do it. And so then fast forward to April, cancer was very aggressive, and he passed away on April 1st, 2011. And at that point, like it was within the next couple of days, I remember talking to Uno and Stu and others and being like, I think we should still do this and just do it in his memory. And they were on board with it. And we had various fundraisers to help raise funds to cover the cost of these shows. Almost all talent volunteers their time for this show. And then we spend the money on bringing a name or two into and other overhead costs. But since 2011, it's something that's growing, with the help of guys like New Legacy Inc. on Twitch.
That's how I found out about it.
Yeah, like Johnny and those guys, just like they took it to another level, and I felt like they like tens of thousands of dollars every year from Twitch streaming. I was like, holy shit, what's going on here? And then in the pandemic, I want to say they crossed 100K almost 1 year in 2020, when I was like, we couldn't even do a show that year. Or at least it was up there. I remember when Cody was here, we did like 70 or 80,000, but that just became like this ball rolling. The last couple of years, New Legacy has not been as involved, just because they have other things. Like Johnny's got other things that keep him busy, Deadlock for one. But he's a huge supporter. We're still finalizing the number, but this year we did another 30,000. Last year we did about 40,000, and yeah, we've raised over $500,000 from the Canadian Cancer Society since 2011. All donated in Frank's memory, and it's been it's been cool. Like I know Frank's sister's like, you don't have to keep doing this show, but I'm also like, I don't know how not to do this show. It is the most stressed I feel every year. It is, because it's like I'll be like talking, and I'm like, can you reach out to this person to see if they can come do the show? Can we get, and unfortunately this year was like Wembley was the next week. A lot of people did not want to take indies ahead of that. So, but I'm still very happy. Like this past year, we had Lance Archer, we had the Rascals, and I'm forgetting people right now, but we had a pretty loaded show, and I was very happy with it. And all the talents involved were happy with it. Like Ninja Mac came up for it, others, but yeah, it was a loaded show. It raised 30 grand between the show, and then Uno did a 12-hour or 6-hour Twitch stream, and yeah, it was a success. And fighting back is, like I said, it's stressful every year, but it's rewarding, and it's the Cancer Society is very, very grateful for what we do every year, and it's nice to know that it does make a difference in some people's lives. And also, my whole goal with it when I started fighting back and doing that first show was to do the least carny fundraiser show possible, because I didn't want to be like $1 from every ticket is donated, or $5. It was like 100% of the door is donated. This year we had to kind of change that just because their costs were very high, and we did have to spend against some of the money raised, but it was still, we've raised over $30,000 for the Cancer Society, and we're very proud of that.
I was going to say, as someone whose family in Ottawa has been directly dealt with cancer and the hospital system that comes with that, knowing that there's a show like that exists and continues to raise money for cancer societies is just, it's meaningful. It really does go a long way. So I do offer my thanks for that.
We're unfortunately, as we get older, we all have been experiencing that touching our lives.
Yeah, it's the worst commonality that we're all going to deal with in our life.
Yeah, and I remember back when I started in 2011, and I was in my late 20s, and it's like it was a rare occurrence to have someone in my life, and then I was just been like, you're feeling it. So it's yeah, fighting back is very important to all of us.
As we talk about the growth of not only fighting back, but also C4, and you had mentioned that, you're booking your venue 18 months in advance, and that's the Preston Event Center. Yeah. That venue holds what, about 300-400 seats, or is it bigger than that?
We've gotten, like, June when we had the double cage match, we got up to 600.
600.
It gets packed. So on average, like low end 400 we'll have a show, and then all the way up to about 600.
Have you guys talked about scaling up and finding a new venue in the future? Or
I mean, I'd rather have a packed 600 person venue than a half empty arena. And as someone from Ottawa, you know that venues in the city don't really exist. There's a reason bands don't come to Ottawa that often. We're between Toronto and Montreal. We don't have a mid-size, like we don't have 1,000-seater space. It's either, like, I'm very lucky with the Preston Event Center, because we were in a Knights of Columbus for a decade. They sold their building, and then I was trying to figure out where to go. And Preston Event Center is somewhere that I've been to for a wedding, and I reached out, and they surprisingly were willing to, well, based on the history of a decade at another venue and bar sales at that venue, they were willing to give me the chance. But yeah, Ottawa is very lacking in mid-size event spaces, and those that do exist are obscenely expensive because they're used to doing corporate or weddings that can tens of thousands of dollars, which indie wrestling unfortunately does not have to spend. But yeah, people have asked me that question. It's always been, I'd rather have a sellout than like a cavernous arena that even if you have 800 people, it still feels empty. If that makes sense.
No, it does.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's again going back to the PWG model. That's similar to what they have been dealing with and what they've done.
Sure, yeah.
They are now running the Globe because their old venue got sold and demolished. So the Globe is their home, but they don't really see themselves moving elsewhere. It's a destination. That's what C4 has become, and I think it's wonderful. My last question to you, and then we'll wrap this up. This is a more you question. Where did your fandom start as a professional wrestling fan? And let's bring it to now. Names that you want to see brought in to your promotion to C4.
I mean, the second part I'll go with first. Every year I'm fighting back. I'm like trying to pull in favors. It gets, but it's just very like there's dozens of people who I'd love to try and who are like and I'm talking like top level international talent I'd love to have here. On an indie level, I can't even start to name names because there's a reason why I have like 30 to 40 people per show is because I'm very bad at like saying no and not having people. And it's like, okay, I can fit those people in a carload from like New York, or these people. Like there's so much good talent out there. And then through fighting back, it's like we can do these asks. It would be really cool to like there were people, I don't want to name names, but we thought we could do a few things for fighting back this year that just didn't work out, but hopefully in the future they will. My fandom, summer 92 is when I was 9 years old. In like grade 3 before that summer, I remember having some friends in my class who were very into wrestling and I was hearing it, but I wasn't a fan. And then I remember going into summer of 92, watching like Power Hour on TSN on Saturday mornings, WCW Power Hour. And also Maple Leaf Wrestling, the repackaged Superstars, and then WWF Cavalcade. It was on CHRO right after, which was a repackaged, I think, Challenge or All American Wrestling, and then just like everything I could watch, I'd watch. But summer 92 specifically because I remember Beach Blast 92 and hearing on WCW them talking about the Falls Count Anywhere match between Cactus Jack and Sting, and just having visions of them wrestling in sand and like on a beach. And then by the end of the summer, SummerSlam 92 and Brennan Bulldog, and just a match that was like, this is incredible. And that's part of me is like, it's really, I wonder where my fandom would be had it started like 3 years older with seeing like Hogan on top. But fortunately, like I got to watch Brett and Bulldog and these guys do their thing. But yeah, then it just became just digesting anything I could, getting into the After Mag soon after, and just seeing all that was out there. And just a hardcore fan. And Joel, as you know, growing up in Ottawa, there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling here. I went to a couple indies that did occur here. I remember one matinee at the Super X on a Saturday afternoon, seeing Jimmy Snuka and Metal Maniac headline a show in front of about 30 people in the Civic Center. So not many people knew about that one, but I remember being there. But yeah, I just anything I could get my hands on. And so I kind of dropped out of wrestling then right around like the boom, like end of summer 99. I kind of just lost interest because it was getting to be everywhere. And I just had other interests take me away. And that was like, I was helping out like local film production stuff and getting into that. And then I came back to watching wrestling in like spring of 2001, right around WrestleMania X7, and then being like, what has happened? What happened to WCW? Like, I remember going on ProWrestling.com one afternoon, like a week before X7, like and it was just like, because I remembered that site, so I'll check it out. And then I went, and it's like the first thing, like WCW sale. I'm like, what did I miss? And then getting back into it, and then around 2005, started helping with a local indie, which led me then to want to put on shows myself, because it was a local indie that I knew that the promoter was just going to do what he wanted to do. And then I did 2 shows with IWS in Gatineau in 2005 and 2006. And I look at that as kind of like my college of putting on shows and learning from that. And then I started C4 in 2007. And I think a big part of wanting to start C4 was creating something I didn't have as like an insane 13-year-old wrestling fan or 14 or 15, 16-year-old wrestling fan. That it wasn't here. And those promotions that did exist here, the limited promotions that were here, were all run by workers who were just doing it for themselves. I mean, the reason a lot of indies start, unfortunately, as a place for workers to main event their own shows. And like, I mean, one of the reasons I think C4 has had success is because it's not about me. I have no interest in being in the spotlight. I have no interest in main eventing, and the people I work with are the same way. So that's a long answer, but like my fandom started when I was like 9 years old. Did not have any family watching wrestling. It was like looked down upon. It's that fake stuff. And then, yeah, I just found it myself. I like the first week of Superstars. I remember going back. Sorry, was the black ooze on Warrior's face, like from Papa Shango. Like that's like that's my first memory of watching Superstars. So it was a couple weeks after the vomit. Unfortunately, I just missed out on that.
It's amazing. You and I we're a few years apart, but like we've had a very similar kind of upbringing when it comes to wrestling, and just I really did enjoy this conversation. Mark, thank you so much. C4,
no problem. Anytime.
Walking the Edge is going to be live at the oh my god, I just forgot
Preston Event Center.
Preston Event Center, Friday, September the 15th. Check it out if you're in Ottawa or adjacent. Want to go check them out. If not, IWTV, they'll be airing it. You said Tuesday, right? September
Tuesday at 8 p.m.
There we go, 8 p.m. Go check that out. Mark Pollesel, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Take care.